Hey everybody, welcome to Glow Up Handbook. Today's flow was requested, so thank you so much for the request. We're going to start by taking deep breaths, and today we're going to focus on our transition from straddle to middle splits. That transition can be a tricky one, so we're going to do some stretches together that help with that transition. I'd recommend warming up a little bit before this flow. So you're going to start an easy pose, and I want you to bring your left foot forward to about the center of your chest. You can walk till you're on your hands, your elbows are all the way folded forward. I want you to think of keeping as flat of a back as you possibly can in this exercise. And then go ahead and take an easy twist to both sides here. Then switch sides. Again, so you're going to bring that right foot forward now to about the center of your chest. And then you can come down onto your hands, your elbows, or all the way down to the ground. This flow is definitely going to be a little bit challenging just because the nature of getting into middle splits from straddle is a challenging and advanced asana. Feel free to do this at any level, just modify and I'll continue to provide those modifications. Take a quick twist. Awesome. So what I want you to do next is come into a very narrow straddle. So kind of to the edges of your mat. You can rub your legs, grab one foot, then the other. You can also take a strap around each of your feet if you can't quite reach them yet, just to flex, get into the calves a little bit. Then grabbing your feet with your hands or the strap, you're going to bend and extend your elbows. So extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Then go ahead and walk forward. Now you're going to plant your hands on the ground. And you're going to do the same thing. So extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend. When you bend, it doesn't have to be all the way to the ground. It can just be a slight bend. We're going to see that a lot in today's flow. So go ahead and come to your deepest point here. That can be your hands, your elbows are all the way down. Just rock side to side a little bit. Just shifting. There'll be a lot of active stretching in today's flow, a few passive holds, but a lot more moving within the stretches. Awesome job. So now I want you to take your straddle a little bit wider, not as wide as it goes though. Hands on the mat, you're going to bend and extend your elbows. Again, doesn't have to be all the way to the ground. Extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend. Inhale. Now widen your hands and you're going to dip your chest from one side to the other. So left to right, 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 left to right. Back to center. Go ahead and walk your hands out. You can come onto your elbows or your hands or your chest. I'm on my elbows here, but walking my hands pretty far out, keeping a very flat back. Breathe. Now walk your hands back in. And we're going to do some push-ups here. So you're just going to push your hands to the ground with push-up and pull yourself up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. This can just be a little bend of the elbows, down, and hold. Hold in your deepest point of the straddle now. I want you to focus on your breaths here. So inhale, really feel that inhale, and then exhale. Focusing on your breathing is key to stretching. You'd be surprised how much it helps you get deeper in these postures and not focus so much on the discomfort you're feeling. Today there will be some discomfort, but you don't want pain. So if you feel pain, that's where you kind of back off. So you're going to grab the two blocks here that you saw on screen. I want you to grab one of them and you're going to place it under your left foot and then you're going to bend and extend your elbows again. So you're going to bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, hold. So you're going to come to like a place of moderation here. So kind of deep, but not as far as you can go. And I want you to shift your hips back and forth slightly here. So you're not just holding it, you're working on shifting your hips back and shifting them forward. Continue that shifting of the hips. Get used to what it feels like to make that transition, pulling your hips back and forward. Then now you're going to deepen the pose. You can go down to your belly if that's in your practice, and you're just going to hold it here. Awesome. So we're going to come into a cat-cow. So on your elbows arch, then push up onto your hands and round. Elbows arch, push into hands and round. Elbows arch, push into your 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 hands and round. Then come into your deepest straddle. Focusing on your breathing. If you're struggling to focus on the breath, work on counting your breath so you can count your breathing in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. Awesome. So now we're going to do the same thing, but this time with the block on the other side of your straddle. Hairs on my face. So plant your hands on the mat. You're going to bend the elbows, extend, bend, 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 and then hold. Kind of that moderate place in the straddle stretch. Breathe here. Now shift your hips forward and back. It's going to be small. Shifting forward and back. Back, forward. You can see here on screen, it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but you'll feel the difference. You can really feel it kind of in your groin. Now come into your deepest straddle here and just hold and breathe. Push into your hands, and we're going to do cat-cow. So elbows arch, push into the hands and round. Elbows arch, push into your hands and round. Elbows arch, push into your hands and round. Elbows arch, push into the hands and round. Elbows arch, push into the hands and round. Elbows arch, push into the hands and round. Elbows arch, hands and round. Elbows arch, hands and round. And deepest stretch. Hold here. After this, we have one more round of straddles, and then we're going to move on to something else. So if you're getting a little antsy in straddle, just hang in there. We're going to grab the other block now and place it under your left foot. So now both of your feet are on blocks, and we're going to repeat that sequence that we just did. Before we do that, we're just going to shift back and forth here, getting our bodies comfortable in this pose. Sometimes with both blocks, it can feel more intense. Reach your right hand over your head for a quick side stretch, then your left hand. Plant your hands, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, extend, bend, and hold. Again, a moderate place here, and you're shifting your hips back and forth. Just a teeny bit. Beautiful job. Stay with me. Now go ahead and come into your deepest straddle here. It's definitely going to feel more intense with the blocks. The good news is when you start stretching with blocks, and we're going to do frog pose with blocks in a second, when you move the blocks, it feels so much easier. Now cat-cow, so push into your hands and round. Elbows arch, hands and round. Elbows arch, hands and round. elbows arch, hands and round, elbows arch, hands and round, elbows arch, hands and round, elbows arch, hands and round. Beautiful. So walk yourself in. You can use your hands to pull yourself back into a seated position. It'll be a little bit tight. Go ahead and twist to one side, then the other. Go ahead and move the blocks out of the way. Come onto all fours here. I'm going to go ahead and double up my mat and move the direction of it, just so I'm a little bit more of a comfortable position when I go into frog. So what I want you to do is slide into frog pose. So what you're seeing here is my knees are in line with my hips, and my feet are in line with my knees, and my feet are flexed to protect my knees. So another thing I'm doing here is I'm trying not to let my belly drop too much. It's a little bit arched here, but even now that I'm going to be pushing back, you see that I lifted my belly off the ground. So what I want you to do is go into your elbows or your hands and scoot forward and back. Your hands are going to be harder. So back, forward, back, forward, back, forward. This will be uncomfortable. Back, hold. Now I want you to little pulses back. So go to your deep point and then pulse just a teeny little bit. Now what you're going to do is tuck and tilt your tailbone. So this will feel weird. I acknowledge it, but it helps. Trust me. Tilt your tailbone and then tuck it under. This will be really helpful when getting to straddle to middles. So you're going to tuck and tilt your tailbone in frog. The tuck is going to feel very intense. So you're going to come out of that for a second. You're going to grab your block and put it under your left knee. You can watch me get into it here. I know it's a little bit tricky at first. Before you do that, I'm just kind of making some circles with my hips. You can do whatever's comfortable for you. I usually need something in between frog stretches just because it is a pretty intense stretch. Awesome. So on your elbows, your hands seems easier, but it's going to be more intense, but feel free to experiment with that. Just hold for a second, get your body used to the stretch before we come into some active stretching. I'm just going onto my hands to make sure everything is in alignment. So again, hips with knees, ankles with knees, and feet flexed. So you're going to go back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, pulse back, pulse, 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 pulse. Then drop down, and you're going to tuck and tilt your tailbone. So tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck. Just trust me on this one. Tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck. Again, these are super subtle movements. You can tell on screen I'm not doing a lot, but you'll feel it. And push on your hands if it's in your practice. This will definitely deepen the stretch. Then come on out of that. And what we're going to do is just move the block to the opposite side here. Whatever we do on one side, we want to do on the other. So I'm just sliding in, getting in everything aligned, checking it out, making sure everything looks good. And then just kind of getting my body used to the stretch here before we move into the active portion. Then I'm going to go back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, back, pulse, 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 pulse. You got this. Pulse, 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 and drop down. And now tilt and tuck. So in just a moment here, you're going to see me tilt my tailbone and tuck, tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck. Push onto your hands if that's in your practice. If you did it on the other side, make sure to do it on this side. You want to have balanced flexibility on both sides for optimal, not only optimal flexibility, but optimal health. Now you're going to do your knees on both of the blocks. This can be hard to get into. I like to put one knee on the block, lift myself up a little bit, and then gauge where the other knee is, and then slide it in. So what you're going to do now is same thing. Elbows, you're going to go back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, pulse, 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 pulse. Then drop yourself down, and we're gonna tilt and tuck here. This is gonna be rough. It's tough. It's a tough one, but you got it. So you're gonna tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck, tilt, tuck. Then push onto your hands. And get yourself out of that. Woo! Great job. I feel that too. You can move your blocks to the side. I'm just taking a twist here. Do whatever feels good. This is just your moment to shake it out a little. I'm going on all fours and just making a circle to one side then the other. Then you're going to come back into frog with no blocks. This is going to feel a lot easier this time around. I feel so much more comfortable here right now. And then bring your feet together and then out back in alignment. Together, aligned, and then together and hold. That just helps us work on moving within these type of stretches. So feet are together now, different variation of frog. I find this to be a little easier, but some people find this to be harder. So play with it and pick the harder one. And push into your hands and take a twist to one side, then the other, and slide out of that. Great job. It's not easy, so awesome job. And if you're still with me, we only have like 3 minutes left, so hang in there. Now we're going to start playing with what we've been working towards this whole time, which is straddle to middles. Most of learning tricks and more advanced asanas is the warm-up than the actual stretch. I can't just like slide into this on a random day. So go into your deepest straddle possible, as far as it goes. I want you to just tuck and tilt your tailbone just like we did in that frog. So you see me here tilting and tucking, and you see when I tuck how I'm kind of starting to slide into the middle splits here. Not fully, but that's the movement you're looking for. Hold at the tilt and then drop onto your elbows. Same thing, tilt, tuck. If you can start getting in the middles, feel free. But you see how when I tuck, again, it's just like the roll into the middles. It's so close. So this is how you start to feel more comfortable fully rolling into the middle splits, which we're going to do in just a second here if it's in your practice. If it's not, I want you to keep working on the tilt and tuck. Now I'm going to drop down, and you see me go fully into middles, and then I'm going to tilt and tuck. So when I tilt my hips, I'm in middle this time, and when I tuck, I'm kind of in almost like a really wide straddle. So really wide straddle, middles. So shifting your hips is the key with middle splits, from straddle to middle splits. It's in the hips. And obviously a lot of flexibility is required. So you may have to hold yourself up, but working with the blocks like I did and focusing on active stretching will get you there. If you can have your middle splits, then go ahead and hold that. If you don't, I want you to hold your widest straddle. You can kind of pancake out your arms here. Try to relax in it, even though it's uncomfortable. Find an almost meditative state. Come into your widest straddle, hands behind you in a back bend. And bring your legs together. You can use your hands to help because, that was a tough stretch. I'm a little sore. Come into easy pose here, hands on your knees, and just make some circles. I'm doing 3 circles each side. So follow along with me for that. Then we're going to come into our cool down. Just take a quick twist to each side, and then we're going to do some deep breathing. I hope that if you enjoyed this flow, you'll like and subscribe for more. If there's any flows you want to see, please let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to get it out as soon as possible. Lift your hands above your head. Bring them to your chest. Look down. Namaste. Thank you so much for flowing with me today, and good luck with your middle splits.